Were you waiting long?
No, 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 not at all. Like literally maybe 10 seconds. You joined like right at the
No,
same
it's all right.
time as me.
Good
Yeah.
stuff, good stuff. How you feeling? How's the body?
Body's good. Usually I we flew back on Sunday. I was probably the most sore Monday, 2 days after. That's usually, my quads are the most sore at that point. And my quads are usually the only part that's ever actually sore. Um, and then Tuesday I was completely fine. So I had two really like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, full days of rest, and then Wednesday I started to get back into it. I just have been riding the bike this week, and then today, later today, is going to be the first day that I go and do some lifting.
Yeah, so just like easing your way back into it this week.
Yeah, this week very easy, like n just easing my way back into it, like nothing really exerting myself, but just getting my body ready to start again, and then starting next week, I'll begin a really long training block for from May to end of November. So 6 months? Yeah.
For a 6 month block for one race.
Yeah. I'm gonna be
It's a
a
long block.
I'm gonna be a different human being by the time
Different animal.
different animal. By the time from now to then, it's going, yeah, like I can see it now. I'm gonna be just like, I'm gonna take it very seriously, but I'm gonna try and also balance it all because you don't want to get burnt out either where
Yeah, exactly.
you're taking it too serious.
I tell you what, we'll talk. I'll ask more about that later then, because that sort of matches up with the opposite of what I'm going through at the minute. But just tell us about like your couple of days in Monterrey.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking? Yeah. So not in particular the race just yet, but how was your couple of days? I seen you put a post on about like spending the weekend with your friends and stuff. So how was that?
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, it's so we live in San Diego, and San Diego borders Mexico pretty much. So we drove down across to Tijuana to fly it, like, so it's not an international flight. It's just you cross the
Yeah.
border, super easy. You get on a plane in Tijuana and then you fly into Monterrey, and it's a direct flight instead of having to do this weird like San Diego to Texas to Mexico. Um, and we get there, and it was kind of an adventure from the start. So our flight gets delayed for the first, couple hours, which we kind of expected. We're just happy it didn't get canceled. And then we get there, and one of my friends that was running the race with me, uh, her sister actually lives in Monterey, so she picked us up. But then we got dropped off at the wrong hotel by accident because there was two hotels with the same name, but one was in a completely different city, and we like didn't know. So she took us to the wrong hotel. So then we had to take an Uber back to the correct hotel. And then we had to find dinner. And this is the day before the race, and we're starving. We're like so hungry. And we're like, we need to eat something because we need to like some pasta or whatever. So we found a pizza place, and we ended up eating some pizza and pasta and went to bed. Woke up the next day to go watch my friends race because they raced midday at 2. They were doing women's pro doubles. And then we
Yeah.
we were at the end of Saturday, which was our start time was at 7. I want to say, yeah, like 7:10 p.m. Um, so we watched their race. They do really well. And then uh, we just go back to the hotel, sit, eat more food, get ready to start, going back to the venue around we got to the venue about an hour early. And this was actually something that I learned this time is that I don't want to get to the venue any more than 90 minutes early because this is like kind of what you were telling me the other week. I didn't have time to actually get there, start stressing out about anything, overthinking anything. I was just able to go, check in, go to the bathroom, eat like my last banana and stuff, and then start warming up.
Yeah.
And so there was no time to get stressed out. So I think I'm going to take that approach from now on. Um, because unless the race is like a really big race, I really don't think that you're going to run into an issue of trying to get signed in, like where you
No,
scan your QR code. I've never had to wait more than 5 minutes
no,
to,
neither have I. Doesn't matter where I've been.
yeah. So that that all worked out really well. We get into the start tunnel and they bring you into the start tunnel so damn early. It's so annoying to sit there for 7 to 10 minutes, like just waiting for them to say go. When
Yeah,
when you get into the start tunnel, you want to just go. Um,
yeah.
and
Are
every,
all the star tunnels the same? So even the, I know you went in America, but America, like South America and stuff, is it like a 4 minute countdown on the screen and then like it's not, but like gladiator music and like getting it all going. Is it all the same?
Yeah, pretty much. There's some sort of MC that has a microphone and kind of has everybody hype hyped up. In the United States, it's in English, but in Mexico, it was in Spanish. So I really didn't understand anything that they were saying. And then they
Yeah,
play some hype up, classic rock or some sort of music to get you going. And then
yeah,
once that song is over, there's still 2 minutes left that you're waiting for the countdown. And so you're just sitting there waiting and waiting. And it's hot too. It's a bunch of dudes standing next to each other, all crowded. Um, and and then they say go, and then it starts. But it was an interesting venue and an interesting the race map itself was not bad. You ran 2 laps. All of the stations were in order. Like you can't really ask for much more. Um, but the venue is really small. So the way that it's laid out is the running course is super narrow. So you know how it is. Anytime that there's a new wave of people coming out, all of a sudden you're introducing, 30 to 60 people onto the racetrack at a time.
yeah,
And when it's super narrow, like and people are coming around the corners, you're like coming out of the gate fast and they're in the middle of their race and they're probably going slower than you. So you're dodging people, you're running around people. Um,
yeah,
and so that's very much how it was. It was super narrow, and people um, in that race in Mexico, and from some friends that I've heard too, this sounds like it's common in Mexico, is tons of people are walking the entire race, just walking. So many people. It was like the wild, wild west. I was so surprised. We're in the fast lane because we're running, 4 minutes or less per kilometer on average.
yeah,
Um, we're pushing as hard as we can, and then there's just people just walking in that lane, and
yeah.
you know,
In
it,
the fast lane.
yeah, that was the first time I'd ever experienced people actually walking in the fast lane. I see usually people are pretty respectful. They walk, they stay to the far right, and they're out of the way. Um, but in this race, there was a couple things that I saw. There was people walking in the fast lane, and like sometimes you have no choice but to bump people as you are passing by them. And I feel bad. Running by and you accidentally hit them with your shoulder. You're like,
Yeah,
that's gonna be a bruise for sure for them.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but
I'm surprised at that because I'm trying to think which venue. It must have been Manchester. There was like there was stewards or judges like directing people where to run in the lanes. I don't know what the piece of equipment's called. Like you use them at airports to direct the planes
yeah,
and stuff. They were effectively using them and, and and moving people out of the fast lane if they weren't running at 4 minute kilometers. Yeah, so I'm surprised that wasn't enforced.
they were trying, but they were just
Right,
kind of standing there and telling people to go this way and this, but no one was listening or paying
listening.
attention.
Right,
So
fair enough.
the actual organization of the event, like and how it was handled, um, at least in the running, was not very good, but the handling of the race itself was fine. The judges were fine. The um, the rock zone was fine. Like all of everything else was fine. It was just having people, walk in the area that you're supposed to be running is an added challenge. And the
Yeah.
narrowness of the course, when it's so narrow, coming around the turns, it would feel kind of congested. And the way that the course was structured was it was a big rectangle. So you would run one long stretch, then you would cut a kind of a sharp corner, run a short stretch, another corner, and then run a long
Yeah.
stretch. And that isn't so bad, except in the short stretches, there are tons of people just like walking. So not an excuse. It's just the nature of the race and how that race was. Um,
Yeah.
but overall, you know, our race was about as good as we could have possibly raced it, I think. The venue was really hot. That was the first venue I had been to where it was actually like warm on the inside. I know what you were telling me about this too with the race that you just did, and I was like, oh, like I feel like it's not so bad, but
Yeah.
um, and I
And
didn't,
all of a sudden it just hit.
yeah, I didn't mind the temperature so much, but I think it definitely plays a factor into the perceived exertion. Like if I'm pushing at an 8 out of 10, it'll make it feel like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Um,
Yeah.
and when you're pushing at a 9 out of 10, you don't really have much more to give. So you just have to slow down. And so it was really humid. So the race itself felt very sweaty, the most sweaty that I've been in any race. And I typically don't struggle with cramping ever. I rarely ever cramp. There was two times during the race that I felt like I was starting to cramp in my side. But luckily, it was after the third run, so as we were coming into the sled pull was the first one, and I was like, oh no. So we came into the sled pull, and then I took my gel, and the gel has electrolytes in it. And so then I was better. And then again, the same thing happened as we were about to come into the row, and then I took my other gel, and I was good for the rest of the
Oh,
race.
so they worked. Oh, well, that's good.
Thank God, yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with those gels from now on, the science and sport. I really liked them.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. Yeah. They're the ones I have and forgot. Um, so yeah, you've mentioned like you're running there and you're quite happy with the state. I mean, I know we were texting and you said your stations were really good. So you were strong on the stations and everything went to plan on there, or was there any
Yeah.
plans that had to change during the race?
No, honestly, our race plan, we stuck to it pretty perfectly. And it went really well. You know, the ski erg, we switched every 125. You know, you could look back and say, oh, maybe we could have pulled a little bit harder, but honestly, not really. Like maybe shaved off 5 seconds, if anything. Um,
Yeah.
so nothing I would change about the ski erg. The sled push, we finished in 2 minutes and 9 seconds, which I think is the fastest that I've ever done it. And we go 50-50. So I started it, he ended it. Um, the sled pull is one where I think maybe we probably could have shaved off another 20 seconds if we pulled harder. Like if we just pushed it a little bit harder and had more urgency to get through it. I think both of us kind of used that station a little bit as an opportunity to bring our heart rate back down to
Yeah.
recover, which I'm actually really happy about that I'm able to do that now because even 2 months ago in Las Vegas, my heart rate coming into the sled pull was like zone five, and then leaving the sled pull was zone five. So it was not a
Yeah.
recovery at all. It used every ounce of energy, and I put so much effort into pushing and pulling the sleds in the last couple months. So the way that that paid off was I was really happy about.
I was going to mention that like you've openly said that sleds aren't your greatest, so that sounds like there's a massive improvement. So it must be like quite pleasing to see that your training's actually paid off. So yeah, that's good.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely super rewarding. And I'm going to continue to keep the sleds as a priority throughout this training block because I think I'm still not quite where I want to be with the first half of the race. So, you know, the ski erg is fine. And the run after the ski erg is always fine. But it's really the sled push and then the sled pull and the runs in between those where I feel like that's where I start to consume more energy than I want to, that I need for the back half of the race. And I also don't
Yeah.
I know the simple solution is like, oh, we'll just take that part of the race a little bit slower, but I don't want to. I don't want to take that part of the race slower. I want to get it over with and I want to get to the rower and I want to start fresh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's what I want to continue to work on in this training block is making the sleds as easy as they can possibly be. So that way, the only hard thing is, the run after the burpees, and then you're at the rower and you can, start again.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. How did you end up splitting the row again? Was it 300, 400, 300? Is that right?
I think I shortchanged him a little bit. I was supposed to do 400. He started with 350. So when he started with 350, I was like, "Oh, okay, he does 350, I do 350, he does 300." But
Yeah.
I think he did a little bit of extra and then I was supposed to do 400 and I only did 350 and then he finished the last 300. So I also think too it's tough the with the row and the ski because you want to the row especially you want to use it as a recovery, but I do think I would like to get to a place where I can pull a little bit harder and still continue to recover. Right now
Yeah.
we're pulling like a 145 on the row and recovering slightly, or at least not redlining, like at least not going up in heart rate, but
Yeah.
I'd like to get to a place where we're pulling 142 or less and able to maintain consistent heart rate. Then when you get off, then you can bring your heart rate back down.
Yeah. It sounds easier than it actually is
Yeah.
because I know when you're rowing once on you and your partner's rowing twice. So what's he pulling 350 in a minute 20, something like that, or
Yeah.
some? Yeah,
We're pulling about both at about like a minute 45 per 500.
the
So yeah,
500.
probably
So
I get about a minute and a half or so of rest, minute 20.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
before I get on, which is plenty for me to be able to pull hard for another, minute to minute 20, and then he gets
Yeah.
on and finishes. So, but I do think for me, I I want to be even more recovered and have my legs feeling more fresh. So that way, because I know he's going to come on and he's going to be tired coming into it and he's going to pull what he can initially, but I need to be able to come in the middle and make up a ton of time. I need to pull
Yeah.
really hard. So
Hmm.
that's something I think I can do a little bit better in the next race that we do. Um,
Yeah. And then I mean, your partner looks quite a big lad, strong. So
yeah,
I'm guessing he's what fine on farmer's carry, I'm guessing.
yeah, he did most of the farmers carries. So I farmers carries is not a strong station for me. Like if I had to do that all by myself, I would probably drop it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, we just do one swap each. So he starts it. He does one full, uh, I think he did 1.5 or laps, and then I did about 30 meters, and then he finished the last like 20. So
Right.
yeah, like I just to give him a little bit of a break, and then for us to like, I basically just sprinted as fast as I can. I just picked it up and ran with it, got it to where I could, and
Yeah.
then gave it back to him.
Until you slow it down. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
The farmers carries, that went well. We did that in about a minute 40. I'm not going to complain because I didn't really do any work on the farmers carries, but in theory, if we were at like 120, that would be really ideal. Um, and the sandbag lunges under 3 minutes was our goal. I think we did it like 250 something. We had a little snafu on the one of the transitions because we were gonna. So I'll back up. The course was a little bit slower than some other courses that I've been on because the farmers carries were it was a big zigzag. It was like 20 meters, 20 meters, 20 meters, 20 meters, I think. And then you did that 2 times, 2 laps
Right.
through. So you're doing a lot of like stopping and turning and stopping and turning, which
Yeah. Yeah,
it adds up. I know it doesn't sound
definitely.
big, but it definitely adds up when you're trying
No,
to
it
go
does.
fast.
Does.
And then it was the same thing with the lunges. It was down, back, down, back, down, back. So between that station, the rock zone was really, really long at the start of the race. So the in was like over here, and then the skier was all the way over here. So you're running all the way down. So that plays a role. And then
Yeah.
having such a congested run, like where there's so many people running at the same time, that also makes the course a little bit slower because you have to run around people. So everyone's on the
Yeah.
same course though, so everyone's, experiencing and having to deal with the same thing. But yeah, definitely felt felt that a bit on the lunges and the farmer carry and the rock zone.
Yeah. That doesn't sound ideal though with the zigzag. I've never seen that, I don't think. Unless you're on about I've seen four lengths, which is funny because that's what I wanted in Malaga. I said it was the opposite, didn't I? Where I said it was two massive
Yeah.
lengths, which mentally it was a long way, but I think if it was split into quarters, yeah, that's right, four lengths,
Yeah.
I would have felt a lot better about that. But yeah, it doesn't sound ideal, and like you say, that is going to waste a few seconds here and there, just the slowing down, turning, and
Yeah.
getting going again. So nah, definitely. And then how did you finish your race? How did you feel finishing your race on the
Yeah.
wall balls?
I mean, wall balls are always my strongest station, and my partner too. So we get through them really fast. Between the two of us, it took us 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So he came in, he gave me 40, maybe 30 or 40. Then I did 30, and then he did one more big set, and then I finished with like
And
15.
you finish? Yeah,
Um,
that's
so
good.
and we had worked on our transition, so the ball never actually touched the floor. You catch it and hand it to the person, which saved us probably 5 to 7 seconds over the course of 100 wall balls.
Yeah,
So we're gonna definitely do that from now on. And the wall balls didn't have you were the
the
first person that
sensors.
I thought of too. I was like, oh
Oh,
damn, Ross
really?
just had to deal with this. So he was manually clicking the thing, but he also I don't know if all the judges were doing it, but our judge was awesome because he was counting from 0 to 100 in Spanish.
Did he?
So
Did
if he was doing that for every person, that guy was counting to 100 a
he?
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
How
was
how do
helpful.
you how did you feel about not having the digital? It's not a scoreboard, digital counter.
Yeah,
Um, I thought it played. I wouldn't say a massive part, but and I'm not saying I wouldn't have stopped, but I really just didn't know where I was at. So I,
yeah,
I turned to ask the judge. I probably would have broke then anyway because I was
yeah.
fatigued. But I don't know, and that was bang on 50 when I asked as well. Maybe I could have got kept going if I knew where I was at. But how did you find that?
Uh,
Well, that's he's giving you well if you speak Spanish, he was giving you a live counter, wasn't he?
yeah.
So
So I can understand numbers in Spanish. So I do have to think about it. So when he said the number, I would have to think. But honestly, I kind of liked it, and I kind of liked that it was in a different language because it took my mind off of the pain from the race because
yeah,
I'm like, I'm still doing the wall balls, but now I'm thinking about what he said. And so
yeah.
I didn't change my cadence at all. I didn't do anything. It was just um like something I noticed. So
I would have understood until four. Honest,
it's
that I'm struggling.
that's funny. No, I understood pretty good. There was a couple points where I was like, I don't know for sure where we're at, but I knew, so I thought I did like 25, but I think I did 24. Like, so I was counting on my own, trying to,
Yeah,
so like, but we tried to keep it as even as possible.
yeah, no.
My partner did slightly more wall balls. He did more of the rowing because he did the 600 meters or whatever, 700 meters. And then the farmer's carry, but everything else was 50-50.
What a doubles race is for.
Yeah, exactly. You work to each
Each year
other's
have
strengths.
exactly. Each years have different strengths. So I
Yeah.
actually think probably too many people split it down the middle, and it probably costs them time. Whereas they should just maybe drop the ego a little bit and then just do what's best for them as a pair. But look, it's easily done. So no, I
Yeah.
think you've done it the right way. So obviously you had your goal in mind. You've like documented that on Instagram and stuff. So were you massively disappointed? Is it like one of them where you sort of reassess going off the course and you just think it wasn't doable on the day, or what was your thoughts at the finish line?
My immediate thought, because honestly, I was not sure what our time was when we crossed. I knew that we were slightly behind, so we started to fall behind after the row. Like we really, it was probably the run after the burpees where we started to go too slow because we cranked through the first three, four stations. Burpees,
Yeah,
we did that in under 2 minutes. The sleds The sled push, we did that in under 2:30, which was the goal. We did that 2:09. The sled pull, we wanted to keep it around 3:45, and I think we were at like 3:50 something. And then um but the run after the burpees and then leading into the row, we just like started to slow down too much. And then what we should have done was probably hit the run after the row harder than we did. We probably really should have pushed hard on that run because we were more recovered, but we didn't. I think we coasted a little bit and then we just fell a little bit too far behind and couldn't catch up. Um, so I knew that going into the lunges, my friends called out going into the lunges that like we needed to pick up the pace because we were falling behind. But coming in,
yeah,
coming into the wall balls, we were at, I want to say when we were about to hit the in, we were at like 56:40 something. So I knew that, which obviously you still have to come in, you have to go through the rock zone, you have to get to the place. So I knew I was like, it's gonna be close. I thought
yeah.
maybe we could do it. Maybe if anything, we get somewhere in the hour. Um, but um, sorry.
No, all good.
So when we finished the wall balls, I also thought we finished the wall balls super fast. I was like, that was quick.
Yeah,
So I thought maybe
yeah,
when I looked up at the scoreboard, I was like, oh, maybe we'll be, somewhere around the hour. But then we came in at 101:40, which was, 100 seconds away from our goal.
yeah.
And was my initial thought was, damn, like, wow, like definitely disappointed, bummed. Um, but then,
Which I think everyone has, because that's just the competitive nature.
yeah,
Like you've put the time in and stuff, and I think that's a fair enough instant reaction.
100%. And I wasn't upset. I was like, damn, like we gave it our all and it like wasn't
Yeah,
enough. It wasn't enough. So I think, and especially coming from running a race 2 months prior where we finished 30 seconds faster than that, we finished 101:11. And I was like, damn, we were really 30 seconds slower than the race I just did. I felt like, because I felt so much stronger in the race. That was also part of it, which I'm happy with my performance. Because in the race that I did with my friend Alex 2 months ago in Vegas, we did 101:11, but I was dying for the entire race.
yeah,
We were running faster. I didn't have as much to give on the stations. So this one I held, more like 50% of the load, and I felt really strong throughout all of it. So I know that the physical improvement was there, but I think it just wasn't the day. Like, I don't think that we could have really given much more to the race. Um,
yeah. And that's all you can do. You've given 100%. It's easier for me to say to you, but because I'm quite critical myself after a race, and
yeah,
and I'll be disappointed if I'm a few seconds slower than my previous race. But I'll mention my mum again. She got to mention 2 episodes ago. But I've had 4 solos now, and she said I've never ran the same race or same course twice. So you can't compare because although they tell you it's the same distance, we've had this conversation before.
Yep.
Each course is slightly different. So you going in fitter, stronger, your engine felt better this race. Put that on the course you run last. You're probably pushing the sub 60 and
Yeah,
stuff. So it is hard. It is hard to not be disappointed, especially when you put the training in, you've got your goal. Um, but as long as you can just look back now and know that you give everything, and sometimes you've mentioned how busy the track was there, that you can't control that. You can't train for that.
no, you
Um,
can't.
that's something you couldn't control on the day. The course might have been slightly longer in the rock zone or
Yeah,
um, yeah. So each course is different. So it is disappointing and it is hard to not be disappointed. But when you look back and you've given 100%, you are stronger on the state on certain stations and stuff. So there is improvement there, but it is slightly annoying when it doesn't show in your time. And I totally get that because I've been there with me
absolutely.
last couple of solo races.
Yeah. No, it that's exactly it. So I'm really proud overall. Like when it's been a week now, so I'm not over it because it's definitely going to be on my head as I continue
Yeah.
to train for the next race. Um, and also too, I am the type of person where it just fuels me. Like if I fail, it just makes me want to work even harder. Like I'm not gonna turn back. It just makes me more addicted to trying.
Yeah.
So I think um really what it comes down to is we need to run faster. Like there's really not that much we could have done on the stations to improve. It would have been marginal, maybe 5 seconds each station, which
Yeah.
that still only would have put us at 101
101.
flat. So really what we needed was 10 to 15 seconds off of each of our runs. Um,
Yeah.
and that's that's going to take time because that I haven't I've only started running a couple months ago, when I first realistically I only started running in January. I started running a little bit back in September because I knew that I needed to at least have the ability to run 8 kilometers.
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing any sort of real structure. I would just go for a couple mile run a few times a week and call it a day. So really, I only started 3 months ago running with a structured
No,
program. So
that's impressive.
I'm excited to see what that will look like in December, come the
Yeah.
next race when me and the same partner do Anaheim. We did Anaheim last year for my first race and we did 103 and I
With
was
the same partner.
same partner as Monterrey. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we did 103 in Anaheim last year. It was my very first race ever, thrown into the deep end. And I was dying the entire
Yeah.
race. Like, face is white, seeing, tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And my last two races, the one in Vegas, even though we are running faster, I was dying, but I never got to that point where I'm like, I might pass out. And then same in this race, I felt even stronger. I was like, I feel really in control. I feel strong. I feel like ready to hit all of the stations when we came in. So there's
I
definitely
was going to say, you put a post on about your race and your heart rate zones in that race, and you're recovering so well. Like my stats for my race, it was like in our all zone 4, zone 5, where
yeah,
there was a lot of yours in zone 3, zone 2. So you're obviously recovering really quick during your rests. Um, so you obviously your engine's there, like and everything, your ability to recover is there. So yeah, like you say, you're going to keep improving your running massively, and that's a good one to be doing next because then just what I've just been saying there, that's a good race to you can directly compare the two races as well.
last
So you'll
year.
see how far used to have come in a year, and I bet you it's like ridiculously good. I bet you it is.
Yeah, it's funny because we haven't even broken sub 60 yet, but we're like in in 6 months from now because we were able to shave a minute and 20 seconds off of our time from just a couple months ago from December.
Yeah,
And so if we were able to shave a minute 20 in like 4 months. We have, 6 months before this next race where if we train hard, I think we could shave, you know, 2 to 3 minutes off of our time. But that would come down to us probably having to comfortably hold 350 pace or less the whole race and then improve a little bit on some of the stations.
Yeah.
So,
No, well, it sounds like you've got a long enough block to to work on that. So
yeah,
yeah, so so that's the 6 month block then going in Anaheim.
going into Anaheim,
Yeah,
I have one other race that I'm going to do in September with some friends, but it'll be more,
it's like a fun race.
yeah, just for fun. We're going to do Salt Lake
Yeah,
City. So that's at elevation. And then
yeah,
I'm in that weekend, I'm going to do mixed doubles and pro doubles. So back to
that's
back days.
yeah,
Um,
that'll be good.
It'll be fun. It'll be a good test too, because it's at elevation. I'll be the one setting the pace. I'll probably be doing a little bit more of the stations too. Um,
Yeah,
and mixed doubles is always so fun because it's just a different dynamic,
I've not done a mixed
less
doubles race yet.
testosterone. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's fun because you have people that are like couples that are clearly bickering like in the middle of the race, and then you have, friends who are doing it, and it's just a different energy when it's a
yeah,
mix of men and women versus just a bunch of guys who are just trying to go as hard as they can.
yeah. Nah,
Um,
it'll be fun. He's making a weekend of that.
yeah, 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 exactly. We're gonna take a road trip actually. We're gonna drive up and then go to the Grand Canyon, and we're also gonna go to Zion National Park and maybe stop in Las Vegas too along the way. Just make it like a full week of
Yeah,
adventure.
it sounds good. Yeah, it sounds class.
Yeah. When are you
So that's
gonna come?
September.
When are you gonna? Yeah, September. When are you gonna come take a trip to the United States and run a American race?
We'll get Francesca and Steve on it. No, honestly, America's on the list, on the bucket list. I'd love to go. I'd love to go Vegas. I don't go as much now, but I did like to go to the casinos and stuff when I was at university and stuff like that. So yeah, that would be good just to see all the casinos. So yeah, I would definitely love to travel to America. It's not on the radar just yet.
Yeah,
But who knows? Like.
fair enough.
I definitely want to do a lot more traveling. I mean, I traveled by myself a couple of weeks ago. That was only a few days away. I definitely want to do that again. Yeah, but that wouldn't be America. That would be like a family trip. But yeah, who knows? We'll see. It's definitely something I would do. 100%. I would love to. And yeah, if I could time it around a race as well, there's an excuse to get
Yeah.
out there and do it. So
Well, Kara and I have talked too about taking a trip to the UK at some point, hopefully in the probably 2027. Have you been to the United States? Never.
no, no, never,
Is that really common?
never.
Is that common for a lot of people in the UK? Is like they just never come to the States? Because
Um,
the rest of Europe is so much more accessible than
yeah.
the States.
I don't know if it's common. I've got a lot of friends that have been to America, like, so maybe not as common as you might think. Florida, Vegas. I'm trying to think where else people have been.
New
That
York?
I know. Yeah, New York, obviously a massive one. More around Christmas.
Yeah.
I'd love to do New York at Christmas. So yeah, it probably does happen more often than you think, but no, I would love to do it. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. Something I also wanted to tell you about too that I feel like because you learn something new every race, and sometimes what you learn isn't necessarily during the race, but it might be beforehand, it might be after. And so I feel like some of the biggest takeaways actually from this past weekend was what I learned about the preparation leading up to actual race time. And so I told you already about the getting not needing to get there 2 hours early. Just show up like an hour early, check in, and just go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start doing that. The other thing that I'm gonna start doing is I think I've just been under fueling on race day and the day before for always.
Right.
I don't think I've been eating enough, and I think I'd been too nervous to eat more. Um, but my partner, I was with my partner, and he's a bigger guy than me. He's like 195 pounds, so eight, 90 kilos,
Ish, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
85 kilos. Um,
Hmm.
and so he has, I'm 165 to 170. So he has like 25 to 30 pounds more than me, um, which is crazy because he's taller. He's like 6 feet tall. I'm 5'9". So it stretches out a little bit, but um, it's like 30 pounds is a lot. And he's moving fast too. Like he's a big, strong guy.
Yeah,
And, but seeing how much he eats and also how he like timed the meals, I'm not a big breakfast person. So for me on race day, always I would just kind of stick to a lighter breakfast because that's what I was used to. But we actually had a really heavy breakfast, like eggs and pancakes and toast and juice and everything. And then I had the whole day to digest it and, then took a nap and like did all the stuff and then still had a sandwich for lunch plus some other snacks. And what I realized is that as long as I give my body enough time to digest the food where I'm not running the race with it like up top in my stomach,
yeah,
I should eat a lot of food. Like I should eat as much as I can without it being so like making me feel disgusting, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How are you normally like digesting food? I know you're saying you know now that it needs to be better, but what would your cut off have been in the past? Like how soon before the race would you have been eating?
Well, I would have been eating almost all the way up until the race. Like, and I still was this race. It just kind of changes what I'm eating. I
Right.
think before I was scared to have a big meal. At any point of the day. I was scared to eat
Right.
a lot because I was worried about just not digesting food well enough. Um, but even up until this race, I had the big breakfast. Then that held us over for a while until probably about 2 p.m. Then, or maybe a little bit after that. So we ended up eating our lunch at 3 p.m. We raced at 7. So it gave us about, 3.5 hours or so to digest the food. So that was our last meal. The sandwiches that we ate, and then um, we went back, took a nap, and then I had a banana on the way to the race. And then I had another banana half of a banana about 25 minutes before the race. And then maybe 35 minutes before the race, and then right before I got into the start tunnel, I ate a gel. Um, and then the
Yeah.
rest was just liquid gels.
Yeah. No, it's funny because don't I think my latest race solo anyway has been like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I've never had a lot of time to like kill or
Yeah.
like worry about how many meals. And I always used to say like I'd love to be first heat of the day because I'll just have to have me breakfast and then I race. But I think now that I understand nutrition better and now that I'm a little bit better at eating more, I'd quite like a tea time race because I think I would like 3 meals before a race now, just to be like even more fueled.
Yeah.
Fueled, me fuel felt fine for Malaga. I think the only thing that I could like say was a little bit off was I didn't have any snacks for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes before the race.
Yeah.
If I was in the UK, I would have like squares, but I've mentioned squares bars to you
Yeah.
before. Um, I would have them. Couldn't find anything like that in Malaga. So I had a banana before the race, but even if it's just placebo for me, I like sticking to things that I'm used to and stuff, and squares bars are a massive part of my race week. So, but no, so. I know, so you can take that going forward as well then. The fueling and stuff like that. So that's something else that hopefully will help towards a quicker time in your next race as well.
Yeah, it's all just small fine tuning from here. I mean, we'll keep running, but
1%.
there's not going to be huge gains. Like, I don't know if ever, but there's no way that I'm going to ever get to a place where I'm shaving, 10 minutes off of my race time, which that's kind of something that's really cool about being more beginner in fitness and in the sport is that you could run your first race and you could run, an hour 45, and then you can run your second race and you could have shaved off 15 to 20 minutes because, you just improved your engine, you got in better shape, you maybe
Definitely.
lost some weight, whatever it is. But once you're at the place where you're running close to the hour, it's like just trying to take anything that you can get.
If anything, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm excited.
Definitely.
Officially starting the next training block Monday.
Yeah. Now that is interesting. I don't know if I've ever heard of someone doing a 6 month training block, you know?
It's
Um,
there's going to be like proper periodization. So they'll
yeah,
definitely,
yeah, yeah.
it's not going to be like, all right, we're in it thick for 6 months, but if we're starting in like May, so May, June, July is probably going to be all focused on just like base building. Lots of
Yeah,
zone, lots of zone two, probably one threshold or speed session per week, and then lots of strength training, heavy strength training, like uh,
yeah,
3 to 4 lifts per week, uh, like close to max strength, where I'm lifting 4 to 5 reps, maybe leaving 1 rep left in the tank. Um, and that will be, one day is like posterior chain, full body posterior chain. So upper body, lower body, all of it. And I'll still continue to add the sleds into those days too, like really heavy sleds. One day will be unilateral work, so focusing on one leg at a time, one side of my body at a time. So lots of lunges and pistol squats and Bulgarians and all of that stuff. And then also on that day, I'll do core and anti-rotational work. So Pallof press, kettlebell marches where you're like one is heavy and one is light and you have to like
yeah,
counterbalance. So there'll be that, and then there'll be one like traditional leg day that's gonna be like squats, deadlifts. So the thing that I'm not looking forward to is it's gonna in these training blocks, you get really used to walking around with really heavy legs and tired legs all the time. And this from the taper to now, it's felt really nice for my legs to feel fresh. Uh,
yeah,
but I just love it. I'll
yeah.
get
No, that
back into
sounds
it.
good. It's funny
So,
because
yeah, what
I'm
about you?
sort of going down. I'm going down the opposite route for just for 8 weeks. I'm not trying to sound like, oh, I'm having time away from High
Yeah.
Rocks. I've just honestly, I feel like I've been in a training block for 2 to 2.5 years. And what I mean by that is like 10 week block, race, maybe a week off, and then I've already got another race booked, so I'm back into
Yeah.
the block. Um, my next race, I don't have a race ticket yet, but I think it'll be October, and that's when like the season starts in the UK again, which means me block would start mid-June, July. Give us like
Okay.
3 months, 3 months. So for 8 weeks, I'm just gonna old school, just go back to lifting weights for like 8 weeks. Try and get like I mentioned the last race was the heaviest I've raced. Try to go in stronger. Um, and it's not I'm not looking for compliments or anything, but I'm not actually like comfortable at this weight. Everyone's got their own comfortable weight.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna like strip it back a bit, body recomposition little phase, try and drop some body fat percentage.
Yeah.
Um, just try and get me in like a lean, fit position for when I do start me block again. but I am looking forward to not having double threshold days, hard track sessions, not being able to feel my legs like for
Yeah.
3 days and stuff. I mean, it's 8 days since I've raced now, and it's the first time I've put like weight through me lower. I done a lower session today, and this I still felt like my legs still felt really heavy. I went on a little run yesterday, just a little easy run. Lungs felt good, but I knew my legs were
Yeah.
still a couple of days away from being like fresh. So yeah, I'm just gonna have a little bit of an 8 weeks play around in the gym, just lifting some weights, see what body fat I can drop.
Yeah. What do you feel?
Yeah, I haven't sure what's that.
I was gonna ask, what do you feel like is the sweet spot for you? Because I get what you're saying about like, you know, there's like certain once you get to a certain like weight or like athleticism or whatever, you start to feel like the best version of yourself, most comfortable in your own skin at certain weights.
Yeah,
Yeah, where's the
the
sweet spot?
best I've felt at 74 kilograms. I'd have to do it. Well, that's just off what you are. So, what's that in pounds?
160 probably, 162.
Yeah, yeah. But this race, I raced just over 80 kilograms. Um,
Just over
but
what?
yeah, 80 kilograms.
Oh, dang. So you were like
Yeah,
170.
yeah, yeah. I'll have to quickly do the
Yeah, do the
maths.
math.
I went in kilogram. 80. Well, I raced at 80.6 kilograms. 177.
That's heavy. That's
I
strong.
raced at, yeah, yeah. Um, and yeah, like I don't know. I was happy with how I went in the race. I fueled to perform. It wasn't for like aesthetic looks or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I was happy with what I'd done. It definitely helped. Three of the four strength stations, I was faster, so it's worked. Um, but yeah, just for me, I like being that little bit lighter, a little bit leaner. And especially while I'm not prepping for a race, I'm just gonna just drop back and be comfortable at that. So yeah, that's my plan for the next 8 weeks, and then I'll get back to those double days and
Yeah.
hard sessions.
Did you intentionally put on the weight?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. More so for the two sled stations, which I was really happy with how they went in Malaga as well. So like I say, that side of it's worked, but then we just jump back to that balancing act because I was a little bit slower on my runs. Yes, there was the heat to contend with and stuff, but did that play a part? Maybe. Um, I know what weights I was for each race, and the race I ran fastest, I was the lightest, and then this race I think I ran the slowest, and it was the heaviest. So it all
Yeah.
sort of matches
It's
up and stuff. So
it's definitely correlated. I mean, I've been right around, I think, the same weight for every race. I think in my very first race, I was like 163. I think in my second race, the pro doubles only. The second race, I was like around 165, and then in this one, I'm like 167. So I've gained about 2 pounds per.
yeah,
The first one, it's too hard to even say because I had no Hyrox fitness at that point. I looked like I was in great shape, but like running, like doing all of
yeah,
that plus the running, and then so I was heavier in the next race, but way faster.
yeah,
And then in this one, I was slightly heavier than the first race and the second race, but I was slower than the second race, but faster than the first race, but way stronger than both races.
yeah,
So I do feel like and I haven't really paid too much attention to the scale throughout all of training. I've just been trying to train. I've been trying to make sure that I'm not really like rarely, if ever, in a caloric deficit, just trying to make sure I'm maintaining calories, and listening to my body. And,
yeah,
I think I've been putting on a lot of muscle. I don't really think that I've put on probably fat percentage is probably about the same as when I started back in December. But I attribute that mostly to eating pretty clean. And honestly, I've been eating more junk as within the last 4 months than I have before I started training for Hyrox because at a certain point, I'm like, I just need calories in my face. Like, and it's kind of nice because there's no pressure of like, I need to burn this off. I shouldn't be eating,
Yeah,
sweet treats. I can have brownies or cookies or cake or ice cream. And I know that this is just fuel for my session later in the day, or it's just fuel for, tomorrow's workout. As long as I'm still eating my fruits and vegetables and good lean protein, it
yeah,
doesn't matter. And I feel like it's also helped me a lot become have like a healthier relationship with food too, which I think
yeah,
is
definitely.
good.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I mean, I know we had a conversation. I don't think this was recorded, the one I'm going to talk about now, but I mentioned to you I was struggling with my energy, and that was like 4 or 5 weeks before my race. Then after speaking to you, I've like doubled my carb intake. I still tracked everything. I track everything. I'm weird like that. I like knowing what's going in.
yeah,
I was like on 450 grams of carbs after that chat, for like 4 or 5 weeks, and I did feel a lot better. Um, but although I do train a lot, and that was fueling the training, that amount of carbs, I'm gonna put a bit of size on, a little bit of weight on, and stuff.
mostly water though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I know I keep saying it was the heaviest race. I'm not complaining. Like that was the goal. I was eating to perform and stuff. So I'm not gonna contradict myself. I'm not unhappy with how I look. I'm just a lot more comfortable, that little bit leaner. So while I'm not in a training block, I'm just gonna throw it back old school, just go and lift some weights. I've put a post out today. I'm still gonna do a couple of easy runs in there just to try and keep a hold of that aerobic base and a
Yeah.
little bit of an engine. But there's not going to be anywhere near the volume that obviously I would be running in a high rocks block. And you mentioned earlier in the call, you don't want to like sicken yourself with something. Um, Now I've mentioned there, I feel like it's been 2 years non-stop high rocks. So this little 8 week high rocks holiday, I'll call it. Just looking forward to that, just doing something a little bit different. I'm still going to really enjoy the gym because I enjoy lifting weights. Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know for a fact I'll not be able to wait to get back into my high rocks block. So
It's it's funny because I have 6 months until my next race. So I too also am going to continue to focus on high rocks and getting better at high rocks. But because I'm so far out, it's a lot of time I'm not going to be doing any high rock specific movements for probably like 4 months. Like
yeah,
I'm just going to be lifting weights, heavy weights, which the first time I had done that in a really long time was this past 10-week training block where I started by like max strength, base building, and I only did it for probably 3 weeks, but I'm excited to have like 2 to 3 full months of getting to put on some strength and then layer on top of it because I feel like we accomplished a lot in the 3 weeks that I was lifting heavy. And so to have now 10 to 12 weeks of doing that, and it felt good. Like you feel
yeah,
powerful, you're moving a lot of weight and it's like, wow, I feel strong. It feels good, like confidence builder. Because I went for a really long time of when I first got into fitness, I was only really training for hypertrophy. Like I never really did max lifting or anything like that. So
yeah,
I never was lifting in the 4 to 5 rep range. Or even three to 5 rep range. I was always lifting in like 8 to 25, like whatever until failure. Just whatever the weight,
yeah,
take it to failure. And now it's kind of more fun and less stress because you lift something heavy for a few times and then you rest for a minute and a half. So it's
yeah,
not super intense, but I kind of like that too. More sustainable.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I know what you're saying. Like you're not doing high rocks specific. You're going to build the bases first, but your strength trainer, you've already talked about it. It'll be targeted with stuff that you know is going to help you in the
Yeah.
long run for high rocks, isn't it? So yeah, that's good. Whereas this little block I've put together for myself, I'm doing a push pull lower split, and I've just went with like two main lifts
Yep.
for the each day, purely try and lift as heavy as I can, 3, 4 reps, and then I go into me hypertrophy section, and then with a little bit of a um heart rate is a little bit of a finisher,
Yep.
but with strength elements in there as well. Um, it probably is going to help us long term with me high rocks training, so I'm going to do like an 8 week strength block.
Yeah.
But yeah, that isn't the focus. So thank you, mate.
All right.